morgen reizenderij, efter at
So, welcome to the 2-8 the podcast episode 13. The podcast that's happening too late in the podcast history to even exist, and the podcast that has no listeners or viewers yet. And in a weird way, I'm not sure I mind if if it never does. I mean, the thing is, when I actually tell people that I have a podcast or regular listeners, even though I have 1,600 Facebook friends. But the thing is, you know, I mean, the truth is, if I could get 100,000 listeners, that would be worth it. But I'd rather have 0 than have 75, which isn't to say I don't appreciate the person who might be listening now, who might be the first person ever to listen to this. Anyway, I just wasted a minute and 16 seconds. What I want to talk about is um, the strange phenomenon of relating to fictional characters and caring what happens to them. The other night I was watching this show called, I think it's called Snowfall. It's about this this guy who, this young African American fellow who becomes a crack cocaine dealer, and the characters around him, and also about this CIA agent who's involved in something like selling arms to the Contras. And I can't remember. Oh, yeah, and this Mexican American couple, Lucia and her boyfriend, who had, anyway. So shit was going on. Um, uh, a, a friend of the lead African American fellow sold was up to no good. He was betraying his friend. He sold the formula for crack cocaine to somebody. There's a lot of stuff going on like that, and I was like feeling sorry for the African American protagonist that his friend had treated him like this, that he didn't know that his friend had sold him out. I was feeling sorry for the CIA guy who uh, he was doing this sort of undercover operation and nobody knew him. And now he needed help from the CIA, but the CIA was washing their hands of him, and his brother was being mistreated by the kidnappers. And I was feeling concern for these characters and their plight and hoping that things would work out. This is something I often find myself feeling, an emotion I often find myself having. And often I think, look at you. You care about these financial. You care about these fictional characters. Look at you. This is working on you. You're caring. Now, the thing is, of course, if that didn't happen to some people, nobody would watch this stuff. You don't really watch it as just a passive observer. You get involved with the characters. That's what makes these shows compelling. I guess there is some passive observation involved in all fiction viewing. I was watching this series I really liked, Succession. You know, all the characters are reprehensible in some ways. That was interesting to watch something where there's really no character that you can kind of latch onto and be sympathetic. And yet, I was sympathetic to some of them. I did feel concern for some of them, even in that case. Um, the first time I noticed this phenomenon with myself was when a character died unexpectedly on the show 30 something, and it really affected me. It really made me sad. Like 3 weeks later, I thought, are you like, am I having a nervous breakdown because Gary died? Anyway, um, I want to talk about the prospects of me making fiction in the next and final podcast episode that I'm going to record today. I'm not sure what the connection is between my desire to make fiction and my, the occasional surprise I experience watching myself from outside myself and seeing how much I sometimes care that, you know, the right thing will happen to the characters in the shows I watch. How much I sometimes want, oh no, don't let that happen, or look around the corner, how much, how I get worried for them, how I, how I relate to them as if they were real people, how I care about them more than I would think I would, especially as somebody who aspires to making this stuff. On to the next episode.
Then